Good day, ma'am. I am Kay De Leon Purificacion, a second-year college student taking Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English. So one of the life-changing stories that I have read was the story entitled Dead Star by Paz Marquez Benitez. Dead Star is one of the best Philippine short stories that have already tested time and generations. This story emphasizes how men fall into temptation and abandon years of commitment to their significant others for pleasure and lust for another woman that they have just met. This man was named Alfredo Salazar, who was about to get married to his fiancée Esperanza. His love and passion for his fiancée started getting fade as he was attracted to another woman named Julia Salas. But in the end, he recognized that it was just all a figment of his imagination and the love he felt for Julia was just an illusion. At that point, he realizes that he is no longer in love with Julia and that what he once felt for her has become like a dead star. So, this is a great story, a very inspiring one, especially in today's generation. It changed my perspective about love, in a good way, of course. It influences me to think wisely before I act, especially when it comes to love or when it comes to relationships, because we cannot turn back the time when it's already done. The short story Dead Star for me is a reminder that love is not based on feelings. You can call it love if you fall into it suddenly and expecting happiness to it. It is infatuation. Infatuation is powerful but short-lived or it's only temporary. It can bring someone into thinking that it is exactly what love is until one realizes that it's just an idea of love. This story is really interesting. It doesn't only focus on the idea of love, but also being careful in everything like entering relationships, and it shows how one conquers himself by understanding his true feelings. In real life, this situation happens as well. There are times that we also regret something, but we should always bear in our minds that mistakes are not that bad. Why? Because we can learn from it, and we will know what we're going to do next time. We may have discovered that one of the best things about mistakes is it is the learning experiences that we can have. I'm not saying that we should make mistakes intentionally. What I mean is that if you make mistake, you should recognize it and confess it, especially to yourself, of what you made wrong and learn from it. We should be very careful and be mindful enough of what is right from wrong. I realized that the story was quite interesting that most of us were able to relate. The characters became the victims of love. Esperanza, who was engaged of 3 years with Alfredo who didn't expect that in some point of his life he will meet Julia, and Julia who enjoyed the company of Alfredo. This situation can be likened to a teenage story, a love triangle story specifically, where the guy was somewhat committed with the girl, then this guy unexpectedly met another girl, getting to know each other, having mixed signals, having unsaid emotions, having sweet conversations as if they were committed, and so on and so forth. That both of them will sooner realize that they were both in love with each other. This situation is not new, especially nowadays, that there are many instances or many relationships that don't last because of some third party. After I read the story, I come to realize that even though you are committed for so many years and you thought that he was the perfect one, there will be a time that fate will play with you. He could change his mind maybe next year, next month, next week, or even the next day. We can never tell. I realized that though you have a very nice conversation and though there was a spark or magic between the two of you, you don't have to expect or assume something. I believe we are in full control of our own choices. We are here to learn lessons, and the hard decisions we have to make are what helps us grow as humans. This story has many life lessons that we could learn. It has teachings about contentment and satisfaction that is really important to all of us. Unfaithfulness and adultery, whether committed by men or women, does not make someone more of a person. It is against in the eyes of the law, and most especially in the eyes of God. Alfredo didn't care for Esperanza very much because if he did, Julia would not be his second choice. If a man wants to cheat, he will cheat, no matter how hard a woman seeks to be the finest or to be the best version of herself. No one deserves to be cheated, and no one deserves a half-hearted attempt at love. The phrase that I will never forget in this story is the line, "So all these years, since when?" He had been seeing the light of dead stars, long extinguished, yet seemingly still in their appointed places in heavens. It sounds so sad, yet it is full of meaning. Besides the fact that the title of the short story appears in this passage, which I think is really lovely, and I think I can relate to this somehow. At some point in our lives, we've all had a dead star. Sometimes you find yourself mistaken about a feeling. You firmly believe that this person is meant for you. So even though they have already left, you still cling to that hope that maybe they would come back. You think you're still madly in love or you're willing to give up heaven and earth, but in fact, you just miss the kilig and the good times when you were with them. So when that person walks back into your life, you suddenly realize that you've lost your feelings for that specific person. So love is really unpredictable. We can never tell what will happen. But it only means one thing. If it's not destined for us, then it's not. All this time, Alfredo had been seeing the light of that star, long extinguished, yet seemingly still in their appointed heaven. Though the magic is no longer there, the memory still remains. Maybe it's no longer love, but like dead stars, its glow is still visible after they're gone. And yes, it is true. Even if we no longer love the person, either our good and bad memories with them will still remain for a lifetime. That is what the author through Dead Stars wants all of us to learn. That would be all, ma'am. Thank you for listening.